But one of the key things that I learned in my many years in federal service was transportation really is a comprehensive array, or addressing appropriate transportation problems should be really a comprehensive array of different solutions, and they all should blend together with effective transportation land use policy. I think you heard that from a number of speakers early this morning. I'm really gratified to hear that the speakers kind of talked about the planning process, but also the need to integrate not only public transportation but private transportation in a comprehensive and integrated array of solutions. So I know this is called a Podcar conference, but I would hope, as we look at Podcars and PRT type systems, we really think of them as, and we can argue about the terminology, advanced transit, advanced automated transit, possibly advanced automated transportation may be even a better term. In effect, trying to blend all of the comprehensive needs, and depending on the situation and the political situation largely that exists in our urban areas, into that one, or that not one solution, but the array of solutions that fits the need of riders, not the need of a particular mode or a particular element, but the needs of riders. So today, again, we talked a little bit about that this morning. We also talked about, some of the visions of where we should be as an industry and as professionals and officials dealing with this issue. In this afternoon session, we're going to hear from 5 outstanding speakers and experts, and we're going to be focusing almost exclusively on PRT-type solutions. Again, I would, maybe retitle the session Systems in Operation to maybe Automated Transportation Systems in Operation. But as each speaker makes their presentation, think a little bit about, and then I would ask each speaker to kind of think a little bit about how that particular existing operation, and that's what we're talking about over the next hour and a half, existing PRT type operations and their successes and their benefits and maybe some of their failures. But to think a little bit about how does this fit into the comprehensive transportation environment and the comprehensive transportation solutions that we are really seeking. Again, PRT has its place. It's important. It's an effective transportation solutions. I think in many of our cities, and particularly in some applications. I know Ron Dearden spoke at the ATRA meeting yesterday that I was involved in, and he particularly stressed the need to look at first mile, last mile solutions. I would submit that PRT, AGRT, automated transit has its place, and really there's a need crying out there for the first mile, last mile solution, and I think that's where PRT can play an important role. Not the only role. I think it has its place in many other applications. As an advertisement, I would invite those of you that don't know about the Advanced Transit Association to learn more about it. I would invite those consultants, those transportation providers, operators, to become a member of ATRA. I think the industry is crying out for some organization at the national level to kind of take us, as a nation to the next level, and you heard a lot about it this morning. But we need to broaden our audience and our contacts, not just to the good old boys within the network, as one of our speakers mentioned earlier, and only the engineers and the consultants that are in our important world, but politicians, other national organizations, transit authority, political champions at the local level, and others. So with that in mind, I'd like to introduce our first speakers. We have Guido Schwager and Lee Larsen who are going to kind of do a tag team on sustainable transportation solutions. Both of these gentlemen, Guido is the CEO of Schwager Davis, who is, that company is one of the leading specialty contractors in the country with activities in design and construction of automated systems. And we also have Lee Larsen. Lee will kind of start off our discussion. He's the manager of the transit division. And again, they're going to talk about sustainable transportation solutions, so kind of the focus is on sustainability, and touch a little bit about the Indiana University, the Oakland Airport, and also the Skyway system in Jacksonville. So with that, Lee.
Thank you for the introduction. So I'm Lee Larsen. I'm with Schwager Davis. We're an APM system developer, a little bit different than Podcar, but we're in the same kind of technology. And this is Guido, who will also be presenting with me. So we're a local company that's based in San Jose, so we completely know the problems with congestion and traffic. I've lived here for about 8 years now, and my commute's gone from half an hour to 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. So the problem's getting worse. The Bay Area is getting continually increasing in population. The traditional methods of dealing with the transportation problems are at some point going to become ineffective. They only have so much space to expand and to improve. The Bay Area is also invested in infrastructure as far as BART, Caltrains, and the high-speed rail. But like everybody's been mentioning, we're missing that last mile, first mile. We need to get people to and from the stations. So the topic of this session is existing systems, and so we know people mover systems, and so we were going to discuss existing people mover systems. So at the moment, there's 56 systems in operation. 28 of them are at the airports. The airports are a major user of APMs. Privately owned systems are big too. In the entertainment amusement business, there's 19 of them. Hospitals, and then there's also the downtown transit systems. So airports, they're the largest market, and it started really in 1971 at Tampa Airport. And at this point in time, most major airports have a people mover system. You got Atlanta, which has 2 systems, Cincinnati, DFW with 2, Denver, Detroit, Houston, Las Vegas with 3, and there's one in the proposal stage at LAX. You got Miami, Minneapolis, New York, and Newark, Oakland, Phoenix, and Pittsburgh, Sacramento, and San Francisco, Tampa, and Washington. Privately owned systems, it's a decent market. There's systems, a lot of casinos, they want to keep you coming to their casino. They put in people mover systems to shuttle them back and forth to their own properties. You got the Aria Express, which is at City Center in Las Vegas. Zoos, another big one. Bronx Zoo, they use this one's a monorail, and they use it to show people their exhibits. Another casino, Buffalo Bills. You got Circus in Reno and Las Vegas, Dallas Zoo, Getty Center, Hershey Park, an amusement park, Hilton Waikalua. You got the 5/8 of a mile system there because the resort's so large. Another casino, Mud Island, Memphis Tram, which basically is kind of a resort or a park that gets people to that area. Another zoo, another casino, and Pearl Ridge Shopping Center. That's was a solution to a problem they had with getting around real estate. You got the Gateway Arch Tram at St. Louis, Whiskey Pete's in State Line, Nevada. So hospitals, I'd mentioned before, I think an important market for us is hospitals. There's a lot of hospitals that have a sprawling campus. It seems like every hospital probably has a parking issue. And we think APMs provides a unique solution to eliminate those problems. There's 2 hospitals that operate APM systems, Huntsville Hospital in Alabama, Indiana University in Indianapolis, Indiana, and then both those systems average about 2,200 passengers or people per day. And from what we know of Indianapolis system, that system is a vital part of that hospital. It almost can't function without it. Just to go into a little more depth, because we have a lot of background on Indianapolis, this system was constructed in 2 years. It was basically a line on a map, and went to the bidding stages, and it went from the bidding stages to construction starting within a few months. The major reason for that happening so fast is we had a public-private partnership, the owner and the city of Indianapolis. The city of Indianapolis was a real champion on the people mover side, and they were able to push it to get that system built and be able to accomplish being built so fast. The system's 1.5 or 1.4 miles of elevated dual lane guideway, and it crosses public and private property. It's 2 trains. The system currently has a combined operating mileage of 1.3 million miles, and that's without a single injury recorded at all. And it proves that the system is a safe and reliable mode of transportation. There were secondary benefits to this system for the hospital. They had translogic tubing, which is similar to what you have at the bank when you wanted to make a deposit. They have that along the whole section of Guideway, and they pass lab samples to and from the hospitals. The other big benefit is in the surrounding area, it increased the real estate the real estate values in that area. It was a big deal. So next category is downtown transit systems. In 1996, Congress created the UMTA group to develop new types of transit. The UMTA group developed a downtown people mover program to help circulate people in downtown. Out of that program, there were 3 systems built. There was the Metro Miami Mover in Florida, Detroit People Mover in Michigan, and Jacksonville Skyway in Florida as well, too. Both the Metro Mover and the Skyway are a free ride system, and Detroit People Mover only charges 75 cents. Some other downtown systems, going to talk more about Miami, Detroit, and Jacksonville just because they fit better, but other systems are, the Capitol Subway, Seattle Monorail, Morgantown PRT, Las Colinas, and Roosevelt Island Tram. So the Miami Metro Mover began service in 1986. It's 4.4 miles of track. It's got 21 stations and a fleet of 29 vehicles. It averages 100,000 passengers per weekday and 30.5 million annually. It connects the Metro Rail to downtown, and it circulates people downtown. They posted some average operating costs. They show about $1.02 per ride. Next, we got the Detroit People Mover. That system was built in 1987. It's 2.9 miles of track. It has 13 stations and 12 vehicles. It averages about 6,000 weekday passengers and about 2.3 million per per year. And it also circulates passengers downtown and connects downtown to the light rail station. Here we got the Jacksonville Skyway. That system began service in 1989, has 2.5 miles of track, 8 stations, and 10 vehicles. It averages a little less than Detroit, has 5,000 average daily passengers and about under 500,000 passengers per year. And I'm going to pass it on to Guido to finish the presentation.
Thank you, Lee. I'm going to spend just a few minutes to talk about our local transportation challenges. If we look at population growth numbers, the Bay Area leads the state, and the state leads the country. I saw a forecast the other day that we are to expect 20 to 30% population growth here in 20 years. Are we ready for it? Well, our office is 19 miles away. It took me an hour to get here this morning. Our freeways are at capacity. So are we going to build new freeways? We will never get the right of way. And obviously we can't put any more cars on the freeways. Some of the high-tech companies have introduced shuttle buses to bring the people to and from work. And we are promoting ride-sharing, we are promoting carpooling. You know, these are all good ideas, but they are not the solution to increase the capacity by 20 to 30%. We have Caltrain, we have BART, someday we may have high-speed rail. But we have talked a lot about the first mile and the last mile today. And I want to talk a little bit about the first mile and the last mile. Right now, we go to a bus station, we have a big parking lot or a big parking structure so people get in their car to go and use transit. Our goal must be to get 20% of the people out of their cars. Not because they can't afford a car, but they don't need a car. We need to find a solution where people can go to and from work, to and from shopping without getting in a car. As I say, BART, Caltrain, high-speed rail should and will be part of the solution, but this is a map of San Jose. In the middle is the San Jose train station. I drew a circle around it, half-a-mile radius, and you know there is nothing within walking distance. There is no high-density development. You get to the Shark's Tank, and you get to a few 3-story apartment buildings, and that's it. You don't get into downtown San Jose. How can we improve that? I drew another 2 circles. The blue one is a mile away. The yellow one is another half a mile out. If we put the feeder system along that blue line and connect it into the station, we increase the coverage by a factor of 8. And feeder systems, and half a mile I think is reasonable walking distance. So now we cover downtown San Jose. We get to the convention center. We even get out to the university. And feeder systems can be cost effective. I mean, in my opinion, the requirements for a feeder system is number 1, it's got to be safe. Number 2, it's got to be efficient. It's got to be reliable. And it's got to be low cost. Whether we talk APM or PRT, doesn't matter. I think they both work, they both are proven, they both can be the first mile and last mile solution. We are looking here at a 3-car train. That train can carry about 100 passengers. If we put them at 2-minute headway, that makes 3,000 passengers per hour. If we do a double loop, then we have 3,000 passengers per hour per direction. That's all you're going to need on the feeder system. That's probably more than you're going to need. These type of systems are a fraction of the cost of BART. They are cheaper than light rail. They are more reliable than light rail. How are we going to pay for it? Well, if we get people out of the car, we should need less parking. So the place to start is to reduce parking requirement within a transit corridor. The second one is to increase density. We got to have higher density residential and higher density commercial developments within reach of transit. Increased density increases the property value, value of real estate, so somehow we got to get them property owners to participate. Is that going to pay for it? Well, I'm afraid it is not. But you know, some public-private partnerships wouldn't hurt. We have right now high-tech companies building campuses for 10,000, 15,000 occupants, and there is no transit solution attached to it. I think there is something wrong there. You build a building that will house 14,000 people, and you got no transit solution. To me, that's like building a high-rise without putting an elevator in it. But most important, we have to consider the cost of doing nothing. If we don't do anything, we will have gridlock. If we have gridlock, the companies that made this area great will go. So with that, let's be part of the solution. Thank you.